It's Mo, and today we're going to replace the CV axle and the ball joint on the 97 Subaru Legacy. So stick around. Okay, so take a look. These are all the tools you're going to need for today. Look at them. Alright, so this is the file. You can buy this at a local hardware store. I don't know what size it is, but it's the perfect size to remove the pin from the old CV axle and to push the new pin in to new one. As you can see, it's hollow, so you're gonna need something that covers that and goes into the CV axle here. So this is perfect. I don't know what size it is, but you can find this at your local hardware store. It was about $3 instead of buying a punch that cost $7 or even $15 for a whole kit. All I needed was one, $3, fair deal. Now, why are we going to replace the ball joints? This is the passenger side, and as you can see, it had seen better days. Especially if you go off-roading, do track events, anything like that, you're going to want to replace this, especially this is a 97. It's a 21-year-old car. It definitely needs some of these. The CV axles, in case you wash your car, you wash your rims, underneath you see grease all around splattered. It could have been from this one, but it also could have been from the CV boot that is worn down, it's broken, and grease is spilling out everywhere. So you might as well replace that. Another thing, if you're going to go through that, this is the seal that goes to the transmission. I was in the wrong way. It goes here. That way, no transmission fluid or differential fluid leaks out. It's a good thing to have, so inspect them while you're there. If there's no leaks, there's no sense of replacing them. If you want to replace them, go ahead. I'm not going to do the extra effort. So, these are the things we're going to need. Here's your instructions. You might as well throw those away, because this is the video of how we're going to do it. Okay, first things first, you're going to have to remove the wheel. The wheel lug nuts on this, it's a 19mm. Yours might be different because you might have aftermarket. Who knows? So let's take them off. You want to take off the bolt that holds on the CV axle. The size for that bolt, just 1/4. It's 1 1/4. That size. I don't know what it is in metric. This is just standard size. And you can pick this up at your local hardware store. Also, another tip is, this is a large ice cube tray, and you can put in your parts, the bolts, everything you take off. That way you won't lose them, and you won't have them scattered around. Accidentally kick them, and then you'll be hitting yourself all day. Now that you took all that off, start taking off the cotter pin from that. And by the inspection, there is no cotter pin in this. Actually, wait, there is. It's just very hidden under all that grease. As you can tell, see how it's all bathed in grease? So it could be the CV axle, it could be the bolt joint that burst. Who knows? Who cares? We're going to replace it now. Both of them. And hopefully I'll take care of the problem. And as you can see, there goes those other parts that we installed in the previous video. The sway bar link bushings from what is it? I forgot the name of the brand, but it's a performance brand. And the sway bar links from Michelin or Goodyear? I don't know. Anyways, just look at those videos how to replace those, because we're gonna have to take this off, the sway bar link, and allow our control arm to go a little bit lower, so we can get access to the ball joint, which is located there. That part that's covered in grease, that's the ball joint. And we're gonna have to take off that bolt and pop that off. So let's start by taking off the cotter pins on that, the lower ball joint, and loosening the bottom bolt on the sway bar link. The tie rod in, and here's a quick tip: if it's frozen in place, Just move the castle nut all the way to the top and hit it with a hammer. That way you avoid hitting the threads and warping them out. Also, this is a 19 millimeter. The ball joint nut is also 19 millimeter, but we couldn't get our impact wrench underneath, so you're going to have to use a wrench. Depending on where you are, if you have a hoist or I don't know how you're working, you can put an impact wrench underneath and get it done that way. Next, we're going to loose the tie rod ends. Not the tie rod, excuse me, the sway bar links. Now, we'll remove the lower ball joint, and this is the housing. Let me get some light on that. There you go. See that line? Let's see. Right here. You want to put a flat screwdriver through that to open up the gap. That way it will be easier to install the ball joint. That's the ball joint housing. I would recommend put some lithium grease or some silicone to ease the install and to lubricate. Also, if your parts are rusted, now would be a good time. I don't know if you can tell. I wire brushed it. I sprayed some Rust-Oleum on it. That will give it a little more of a fighting chance against rust. Also, we cleaned the hole where the ball joint is going to go through and lubricated it as well. We're going to let that dry. Meanwhile, as you can tell, the CV axle has already been removed. We already used our pin. Anyways, here's the old CV axle. And the parts that you're going to reuse is this ring right here. You can gently tap it off, and that's some type of dust cover for the hub. Also, I'll spray some of that silicone here before installing everything back together. It doesn't appear to have any leaks around that oil seal, so I'm not going to replace it. Plus, it looks like somebody replaced it not too long ago. So here's our new ball joint. We're going to spray some silicone around this, put it in place, and bolt it back together. And the ball joint, what holds this in place, I believe this is around 37 pounds here. And I believe 20 or 17, don't quote me on that. You could do a quick Google search and see what's up with that. Alright, so let's install this. Okay, another quick tip. You can start driving in the securing pin into the CV axle. That way you won't be holding it with one hand and trying to hold the CV axle with another and blah blah blah. You make your life easier just by putting this in. That way you just go, put this into the transmission, get your punch or whatever you're using to drive this in, and you should be good to go. Also, here's another tip that we're talking about this. Okay, so the tip that I was talking about is, remember how we bought that file to drive the punch out? Well, it's going to be kind of difficult when you're underneath the car trying to put the punch in. But if you get one of these sockets, well, extensions, you could put this right over it and just hammer it through. Just like that. Making it easier. That way you don't have to be trying to aim and miss, and just hammer it through. Installing the CV axle onto the transmission. It's been secured. Now onto the hub. We sprayed it down with some silicone. We took off the dust shield from the old one, put it back on. Our ball joint is installed. It's not torqued all the way completely, but we're not going to torque it until it's on the control arm. So right now we're going to install the CV axle into the hub. And we cleaned as much as grease as we could here. That way we could detect any future problems with the CV axle, see if it's throwing grease. I think that's better right there. Okay. So why I was changing the ball joint, the CV axle, I thought to myself, you know what? What if this is not the problem? What if it's the motor mounts? Check the motor mounts. Motor mounts look fine. Next thing is the transmission mounts. And once I was completely dry rotted off, I decided to take the cross member off. As soon as the cross member came off, the whole thing dropped down, taking half of the transmission mount with it. The other top half was attached to the transmission. So that would explain the vibrations when I'm on the highway or when you do a fresh pull. You can feel the transmission pulling. Let me show you the transmission mount. Alright, this is the transmission mount. That's not supposed to happen. And this is a 97 Subaru Legacy with about 110,000 miles to be correct. You see the problem? That's what was attached to the transmission once I took the cross member off. So the remainder of the video, you will see how I installed the transmission mount. Afterwards, I got the car aligned. It was about 50 bucks. Vibrations went away. The car pulled excellent. So stay tuned for the other part of the video. Now that I'll remove the support for the transmission mount, look, if you have changed Subaru transmission mounts, you'll see what's going on. Yes, and what you're thinking, it is true. That is the top power of the transmission mount. So when I took the bottom brace off, it just split in half. And by the looks of it, somebody replaced this before and didn't put the other screw on, or the other bolt on. There's only one, and the other one's missing. And here is the other part of the transmission mount. So I just unbolted the bottom piece, and the whole the bottom half of the transmission mount came off. And just to remind you guys, this is a 97 Subaru Legacy automatic with about 120,000 miles on it. Probably even less. This car has mostly been here in the South, and now this makes lots of sense of why when I'm on the highway, it sometimes shakes. Well, with a new transmission mount with the urethane filling that we did, we will definitely feel an improvement when driving this vehicle. So let's take the remaining bolts out and put in the new ones. By side comparison, this is our new piece that we picked up at the local auto parts store. We paid 40 bucks for it. We filled it up with the urethane by 3M, which is a cheaper alternative than what some urethane inserts that you can buy for 50 bucks online. We could have spent those 50 bucks, but instead we spent 20 bucks. We spent what that piece will cost with just the part and the urethane filling. So it might not work as well, but this is a cheaper solution, especially when you're on a budget. This will do definitely more better than what obviously was there. See, the two pieces fell apart. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to wire brush this, clean it up, put some silicone, and install this up. Okay. So the transmission mount is on. The bolts that bolt onto the chassis are 55 pounds. The ones in the middle that actually bolt onto the transmission mount are 35 pounds. A good video is from Mr. Subaru. He shows really in depth how to do a transmission mount install. This is just very brief. If you want more details, go on to his channel and check out automatic transmission mount install for the Subaru. Now that you're down here, you should inspect your automatic shifter cable. I just spray a bunch of silicone lubricant just because it's good preventative measure, I hope. And just inspect a once over all your vehicle. Now that we're done, we're going to lower the vehicle, bolt down, actually torque down the CV axles, and take it for an alignment tomorrow, and then we'll see what's up.